Jeza. We're riffing with Jeza.
How's it going, folks? Welcome to Riffing with Jeza podcast. It's starting to rain here in the jungle. So I've got an interesting topic today. So like I say, each day I come here, I try to talk about something that I'm working on, and I give you I show you my leading edge. You know, whatever I'm kind of struggling with or whatever sort of I've noticed is working or not working. And then something kind of practical that if you see something in that, then you can get a feeling of it. Because if you don't get a feeling of it, if it's not sort of in your body, then it's just an intellectual concept. And it's just more mind structures. And these days people are completely sort of overfed with information. And the more information you've got, the more data, and the more you're stuck in mind, and you can't actually distinguish kind of what's going to work for you. So the concept today was this concept of making it wrong. I can't remember if I've discussed this or not, but there was a situation earlier today, and it's not an unusual situation for me, where I hear somebody, like, it's clear there's a reality to a situation. I hear them trying to justify something, justify a decision or something. I can hear they're not comfortable about the reality, and it's really obvious what it points to. And so, like, this is just something I do find frustrating, but at the end of the day, the truth will always come regardless of anything. So at the end of the day, who am I to say what is the truth? But it will come regardless. For some people it'll take a long time, for other people it'll be quick. If somebody's on a healing journey or a spiritual expansion journey, it'll come quicker. But the longer you push it away, it doesn't matter what you tell yourself, the longer you push it away, the harder it'll hurt. So it's kind of why I have a sort of fundamental about the truth is the most important thing. But the truth is different to what you focus on. So you can accept something is true or something has happened, but what you focus on and get emotionally involved with is different. Anyway, so I was about to complain about this person, a friend of mine. And so what's interesting is that there's different people in your life, and you know what the script they want to hear is. So I've got different friends and I've got family members, and I know what the script is. I know what the bias is of each person and where I'll get the most rapport if I set up the conversation in a certain way. It's quite interesting. So essentially there are certain people that if I want to complain or be judgmental, have superiority, like, I know who to call. And we will bond over that superiority. You know, it's quite interesting. And there can be a situation where you really like that person, but the reality is you are bonding with your moral superiority. And the funny thing is, moral superiority is something I can't stand, but in reality, we all do this to a degree. It's really just a question of if you own it. And so this kind of making wrong thing. So it was interesting because so basically at the end of the day, if someone creates stories about stuff and it's not true, they will pay for that. It is irritating to listen to it, but you can just turn it off and you don't even really have to deal with it, because they will have to deal with that. And I stopped myself from actually messaging that person, because I just thought, this is pointless. It might be true, but there's no benefit in this. And this is really just me letting off steam. And this is the distinction, like, if you keep telling these stories, let's say in this case of frustration, you get more of the same. And it's so funny because when I came out here today, I noticed, as you can see, it started to rain. And I just thought, I can make a decision about this rain. Like people who think positive, it's not so much that in terms of how I think about it. It's like you don't have to pretend you like it. I mean, you could see the positive of it, but I just find it easier to drop the negative. So go into acceptance, well, it is what it is. I don't have to create negativity out of it. And I just made a decision. I saw it was raining, and I made a decision. You know, I mean, God has definitely got a sense of humour. Like this making wrong thing, and now it's raining. But it's a perfect example about how we don't have to make this wrong. Like, rain can be a beautiful thing, but you don't even have to like it. You don't even have to enjoy it. It's just that we don't have to make it wrong. So making it wrong is a decision. And when you tell somebody else about how wrong it is, that reinforces the vibration of wrongness and about how things aren't as they should be. And the more shoulds you have in life, there's shoulds for yourself and there's shoulds for other people. I should do this, I should do that. And for other people, they should do this. Usually for other people, it's more of a moral judgment. The more shoulds you have, the more unhappy you'll be, because the more there's a gap between the way life is and the way life you expect it to be. So shoulds are about expectations. So I learned that from someone, by the way, a long time ago. But so when you make wrong, you're getting into the realm of shoulds. And there is no benefit for you or them, for anyone. There's a quick ego sort of hit of superiority, but then it just comes back to the same wheel of frustration. And the reality is, the truth comes to everybody. So all you need to do is disengage. So this is kind of my reminder, my lesson for today. That's it. About maybe things are as they are meant to be. That's also another aspect to this. Maybe this is the right thing in this moment. And how would it be? Because I kind of think when something goes wrong, you don't have to flip to, this is so good. But when something is wrong, there's a solidified expectation that you know how it should be. Like it's solid. Like there's an insistence that you know what the best thing is. Because if you weren't sure, you wouldn't insist on making it wrong. And so what you can do when stuff comes up is question, maybe it's not wrong. Maybe this is the best thing. And you don't even have to believe it. All you're doing is questioning it. All you're doing is proposing the concept that maybe it'll be fine. So Bashar talks about this concept of when something happens to you, have a positive attitude towards the best outcome. So, and when you're really pissed off, sometimes that can be hard to have a positive attitude about it. Like it can feel fake. But one thing you can do is you can acknowledge the truth, which is that you really don't know absolutely if this is not going to be the best thing. You can think that it's going to be bad or that it's not a good outcome, but you don't, if you're really honest, you don't absolutely know what is best because you can't see the future and you don't know how different things will fit together. And I'm sure people listening to this, many of us have the experience that bad things happened and then it worked out for the best. I mean, I remember one of my early albums was very dark, and that album I have so much pride about. It's very dark, a lot of sadness in it, but it was one of my proudest moments because I got through a dark situation. I recorded the best music of my life at that point, very high quality. I played with great musicians, great songs. The album was a bit melancholy, but that's cool, it's authentic, you know. That's kind of what I think it's about. Is it authentic or not? You know, like, is it felt? because there'll be a season for people who need that, and that's completely raw from the heart. But it was a bad situation. If I hadn't gone through that stuff that I went through, I never would have written or spent all the money on that album. But the bad stuff that happened on the album, the bad stuff that preceded the album, actually motivated me. Like, because I didn't even want to live at that point, and I just thought, I'm going to make this album. It's going to be something I'm proud of. So, yeah, so I've got something to show. You know, if I want to jump off like if I don't want to live anymore, So, I mean, that's how dark my thoughts were. And it was funny, like through writing the album, I came out the other side almost magically, and I noticed aspects in my singing, in my voice, in my playing, where something spiritual would come through, almost like divine, in spite of myself. And the funny thing is, the darkness brought that through. So the darkness can have a purpose and a magic to it. It's almost like it opens a doorway to light. Like Leonard Cohen's got this song that talks about the crack is where the light gets in, and that's like really true. Like, that's like, when you're in perfection, you're really in your ego. But when you're somewhat broken, like, light can get through. Like, because light can penetrate the rigid structures of the ego that are just too insistent on how things should be. Because there's a certain vulnerability when you're broken. And one of the funny things is, I noticed as a healer therapist that even in my worst times, like, healing still came through sessions. Like, people still had results, people still had really magic happen, even in my worst times. In fact, I would say maybe even more so in my worst times, because I was so vulnerable, I allowed it to flow through in full. And in reality, none of it is me anyway. Like, when the real stuff happens, it's not me. So, as soon as you think it's you, there's no magic there. You might have a little bit of cleverness and convince someone, but it's not really magic there. That's for sure. Quite a few people looking at me as I'm talking to myself in the rain, but I don't give a fuck. So anyway, so this making wrong thing. So this is my sort of lesson. You can take this on, but this is my lesson. When I find myself in times of... I'm not going to do that joke. When I find myself in a situation where I want to bitch or complain or make wrong, maybe we can just suspend the concept that this is wrong. Suspend the concept that we know best. Because making it wrong just generates more negativity. And in reality, we don't know wrong. We don't know if it's right or wrong. So let's do that as meditation. So as you can see, it's quite a bit of raining quite a bit, but that's good, perfect topic. So if you breathe in and just think about your life. What are the things that you complain about? What are the things that you make wrong? What would be the number one thing that you judge in your life? And if it's not about you, do you notice how there is an aspect that actually links to you? There's an aspect that will link to judgment of yourself.